Okay, so welcome everyone. This will be the last channeling with Ashira. The date is September the 14th, 2022. And Ashira has lots to tell us. First, we're going to start with the meditation.
So everybody, first of all, begin by giving yourself a great big hug. Put your arms around your shoulders and just love yourself up. Love yourself, not for who you think you should be or who you're going to be, but for the magnificent person, the gentle, tender, strong person, man and woman, that you are right now, today. And let go of all those buts. Just give yourself credit and see yourself and feel yourself as your guides and guardian angels. The entire company of heaven sees you. That bright spark of light. Open your crown and anchor in your heart and feel that stream of white light, that most brilliant, blinding white light coming down from the heart of one, down through the great central sun, down through the gold, the lilac and the lavender, down through your brilliant violet of your crown, and filling your head, activating your pineal and your pituitary, your hypothalamus, activating fissures and hemispheres of your brain that have never been activated before. Relax and feel it coming down through your throat, through your center of change, and feel it expand everything as this brilliant white light is moving through you, down through your thymus, your heart, down into your halion, your solar plexus, your umbilical, your sacral, your tummy, your pelvis, your root, down into Gaia. This is like a lightning bolt of sheer energy, and feel it connect with the heart of Gaia. Now pull it up through the feet, through your root, back up through your lower chakras, and into your heart. Feel your heart expanding as you relax deeper and deeper into your chair, your bed, your cushion. Feel as if your heart is becoming a giant Valentine heart. And it's coming up beyond your shoulders. And it's forming that Valentine heart. And the tip of the heart is on the root chakra. And breathe that emerald green. Now dropping anchored, but dropping down from your heart. Come to your halion chakra. And carry that infinite love and light with you, because, dear hearts, it's truly who you are. It's who you've always been. Do you really think or believe that you would be so welcomed and yearned for by your star brothers and sisters if you were anything less than love? You are a delight. So come to your Halion, base of your rib cage. And this is a blended color. This is your bridge to your star brothers and sisters. So feel that chakra opening, spinning. The colors are mint green and electra blue, ashen blue, French blue, electric, neon blue. Feel it opening. Smell the fresh mint that's just beginning to come up in your garden. That fresh new green. That spring green. The spring green of new beginnings, new life. Because that's where we are. As one circle. And this circle includes our star brothers and sisters, our star family. So open that chakra wide. Feel it spinning all the way out of the back, through your spine, and out of your front. Feel that energy begin to form a beautiful spiral of the blues and the mints and the emerald traveling out of your being. And your energy, your essence, your being is traveling. This is you. Not astral traveling, but bilocating. Come on. Spiral out. Up through your ceiling. Flying. Through the air. Puffy white clouds. Through the blue dome. Into infinite space. With a gazillion stars. And the mother's cloak of midnight blue. Breathe it in. And feel the freedom. Continuing your spiral. Always maintaining the connection to your body. Resting back in the chair. And as you're traveling, it's like you've got a homing device within your heart. And you see amongst the many ships your home. What you think of as your second home. And for many of us, your first home. Key into it, take a second. Scan the heavens. There you go. So direct yourself and your spiral. Traveling directly to the landing portal of your ship. Look, there's someone waiting for you. It's your star mentor. Feel yourself alighting on the landing platform. As your star mentor greets you. at the excitement in their eyes. Smile. The warmth of the embrace. And feel your excitement. Your home. Breathe in deeply. Breathe in even before you go through the portal into the ship, because the smell, the scent of deep space is very different than the fragrance of Gaia. Breathe in. And then, with excitement and joy, to see your family and friends, to relax, to simply be. You go with your mentor and friend through the doors and down the hallway to where you choose to go. And when you're ready, either at the end of the show or at the end of the day, when you choose, simply spiral back and anchor firmly in your body, but not right now.
Okay. Well, that was a fun meditation. But you're still on board that ship. And we're going to do this teaching from Ashira. So this is the ninth one, and this will be the last one, and then we'll go on to universal laws next week. Okay, so here's our prayer. I think we'll just sort of glance over that for now. And this is the meditation. I wrote it all out. You can see lots of colors there. Colors are really healing. And here's Ashira. And Ashira says, greetings, I am Ashira, commander of the unified forces of the outer galaxies, and I might say beloved friend by now. Welcome, welcome my family, my friends, my allies, my brothers and sisters. Welcome and thank you for inviting me back. And Susie says, always welcome. And Ashira says, you know, it is our pleasure as well. It is something of an occasion because we are sharing with you not only information. Yes, the information is valuable because the more you understand about us, how we think, how we live, how we operate, the better you are prepared to receive us. We have been at an advantage insofar as we have observed and chatted on the more subtle levels with all of you for many, many, many years. So it is our joy that you are saying to us and have opened the door and said, let us get to know you better, and what kinds of things do you know about that might be of value for us to also know about or comprehend, or simply change our perspective in terms of how we look at something. And that is basically what this conversation that we have been having about the universal law entails. Yes, you have been and you are being seated with universal law, but what you are also doing is in your awakening, in your very rapid progression, you are saying, well, that is all very well and good. Okay, I've got it. I've got the book. How does it work? How do I put it to work? It is like a nuclear physicist or one of your physicists who build the rocket ships and they say, okay, I have a science. Now, where are my materials? Let's get busy building this baby. This is what we're doing together. We are building not the rocket ship, but the bridge so that you come to us and we come to you. Will we use the ships? Yes. Why would you not use what is so efficient and so readily at hand? That would not be wise, would it? It is the same with your universal law. Why would you not use what is already there and readily at hand? Now, I wish to talk to you about as we begin, and yes, I understand from your conversation that I will not go on, and I will make room for people's questions because we welcome your input. Your queries come from your heart and your mind, and it is part of the conversation. You are saying, yes, but all right, knowing this is important to me. So of course, we are open to your questions. We welcome your questions. But let us begin today by also speaking and using that analogy of the rocket scientists about how we, as your star family, often differ in terms of what we choose to create and how we use universal law. Now, we do this and we share this information not to point the way in terms of what we are asking you to create and how you will use universal laws, but perhaps to broaden the perspective on how universal law is and can be utilized. Now, there has been much discussion on this and other shows, An Hour with an Angel and references, and many of your soul memories to previous intergalactic wars, and even much of the interference that was experienced on Earth, on Gaia, decades ago, with what you would think of as abductions and what you term dark forces. Now, those forces were removed about a decade ago, but it gave you not only a taste of, but it catalyzed many of your memories of ancient and more intergalactically recent wars that you have experienced. Okay, so we said the forces were removed about a decade ago, but it gave us a taste. It catalyzed our memories of ancient and more recent wars that we have experienced. Yes.
Kathleen,
Yeah.
can I just underline that the dark forces were removed about a decade ago, and we have seen discussions and some channels who are talking about, oh no, the dark forces are here and the reptiles are doing this. None of that is true. So I just want to emphasize that, yes, they were removed about a decade ago.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, okay, good, thank you. Okay, following that devastation, there was a period where everyone got very busy, and we're talking interplanetary, intergalaxy cooperation. Everybody got very busy building, recreating, constructing, because there had been such devastation. We witnessed very similar devastation, for example, upon your planet in Palestine or in Syria or the Sudan. It is abomination. It is not merely the wreckage of war, it is abomination. So if you wish to think of where we were, except on a very galactic framework, think of those places of devastation where people are trapped. There is no building, no water, no food, no shelter, and those you love are dead, destroyed. The planets you love are dead and destroyed. So then we entered the period of rebuilding. Now we began to know of universal law, but like you, we were in the primer stage, so we used it to construct. But what occurred, my dear hearts, was that the tensions, the frictions, the animosities, the injuries of war had not been healed. And there was recognition, as there is on your planet, that if that was not addressed, that all the reconstruction in the world would mean nothing, because it would simply occur again and again and again. That was the nucleus, the beginning of the Intergalactic Council, but there were many peace talks. It was during that time that the language of Pero was developed, which is non-emotional talking, factual talking, so as not to irritate one another, as well as very diligent work on how to mediate and how to communicate. So obviously there were thousands of years of evolution. Now, after that was anchored, then we re-entered, and it was not that we abandoned construction and reconstruction, but there was a collective knowing that without the issues being addressed and eliminated, and many of those practices are still adhered to both on ship and on planets to this day, because it is not that we have a difference of opinion, we simply have predetermined ways of dealing with conflict. But then we entered reconstruction and we built many things, many superior advanced technology is the way that you would think of it. We built these ships, but also we began to build, and we had this expansion of our understanding of universal law, interdimensional physics and science. We came to have greater respect for what you would think of as the blessings and virtues, the divine qualities, and we knew that none of these could be separated. So for example, our ships, of course, are technological wondrous feats, but they are also organic, and they tend, as the crew tends to the ship tends to the crew. The energy of the construct of our ship is in adherence to the law and to the divine qualities. I remember one time Ashira talked about there were many, many beings coming and his ship needed to grow in size so that it did. He just expanded it for the number of people that were coming. So it's really, and then there was another mention of how the ship is very organic when Serenia talked of her ship that she was commandeering, and how it had been resting for a while, but now that she was using it, it was very organic in the way that she talked of it like a living being. I think it's wonderful. Okay. We can talk to our cars like that. Steve, you can talk to the buses.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how I do.
Okay. So the sacred space, as you would think of it, is built in. And this is what you're going to do as you begin rebuilding your homes, your families, your communities, your cities of light, your institutions, that the qualities, the interdimensional aspects, and the divine laws are all one. So now we are expanding what we've spoken to you of, the things these days. And when I say these days, I'm talking about the last 1,000 years that we like to create is the expansion of what you often think of as the intangible. So we will use universal law, for example, to expand the quotient of light. And we have done that now coming on to 250 years for what you would think of as the field of Gaia, so that she is a beautiful bright pink, and we continue to bathe the planet in the pink. So this is how we use and create these days. When we were doing that, what laws did we work with? We worked with the law of sacred purpose, because the original intent of Gaia was to be the planet of love. Now, did we interfere with the human race and with the free will of Gaia? No, but what we did by invoking the universal law is we created an environment to support what the plan was. So I think that's what he's talking about, bathing the planet in the pink. It supported us and supported Gaia as we've been evolving. To encourage, to nurture, to bring forth, we invoke the law of change and transmutation, so that the discordant energies, that the illusion that was so strong during, can we say, the reign, and you one day will speak in this way, the reign of the old third dimension, the distorted third dimension with all the false grids. And I think he's using the word reign because it's been a hierarchy here. There's been inequality, gender inequality, all kinds of inequality. So he says we invoke the law of change. And of course, we are working in this undertaking hand in hand with Sanat Kumara. Okay, and the laws are all about that balance, that gender balance, balance within the physical form, like universal laws really, really, and the divine qualities are, the underlying message is balance. We did not invoke the law of elimination for this project until very recently because you were not ready for it. But we did invoke the law of completion. So you see, it was energy for the planet and everything upon her to make the transition. Now, on a personal level, many upon our ship will invoke the law of change or intent or unification to work within their family structures so that the unity of the universe and the unity of the family, the connectedness, the love of, say, family unit, and there's not that much difference between what we think of as a family unit and what you think of as a family unit. So we would work on this so that the quotient of love, of light, and connectedness of unity is so strong that the bond cannot be broken. Oh yes, you think and you pay lip service to bonds not being broken, but in fact, humans break bonds all the time, and it is curious to us. So the way it was explained to me, like through my guides, was they're in community on the other side, and there's nobody, everybody's friendly, that nobody has like beings do not get along. They all will on some level get along. And I think this is what he's talking about here. It's like a family on the other side, community. So he goes on to say, now, why do we do that? Because it gives us greater joy. Nothing makes us happier than feeling that we are getting closer and closer and closer together. Yes, we do have a group mind. That is why our telepathic communication is so successful, so powerful. But in that unity is also the awe, the wonder, the appreciation, the celebration of each being's uniqueness. It is not a matter of becoming so close that you merge into one blob. That would not be desirable at all. We want the uniqueness to remain, but as you become closer, knowing the joy of another's heart and their knowing yours, or in moments of trouble, of hesitation, and in this way, and I'm trying to make this very practical, in this way we can send our emissaries to Earth because they are not disconnected. So that sense of unification does not disappear. They know full well, yes, they are on Gaia and they are fully engaged. There is some adjustment, which you know, but they are fully engaged and present. They are in the full unity and connectedness to the group, to their family, and to their beloved ones, to their best friends. So there is a very practical application when you're using these laws. What appears to be intangible, let us build the quotient of willingness to change, of the actual change, of the building of the love quotient and the unity quotient. And then the application comes in a physical, what you think of, and we do too, in a physical way. But first we go to what can make it possible. So it is not like a tradition in some countries where you're simply drafted and you're shipped out. We would never do that. So yeah, so he's talking about us remembering that kindness to each other for when the galactics are here, that they feel more comfortable too, I think. So it's amazing to hear that coming from him. Okay, so then he goes on, he says, so dear heart, I've rambled, I'm sorry, do you have questions for me? And Susie says, oh, well, I do have questions, but I could listen to you forever, and there's certainly nothing to be sorry for. I just appreciate that you've come and you continue to come, so thank you and welcome. As you're speaking, what comes to me, if I can mirror what I heard you say, my feeling is that if we make a study of universal law and the divine qualities, then it will be easier for us to hold those in our hearts and just become part of them, to take them into our very being so that we're calling on those things in our daily lives. And in every decision that we make, without really compartmentalizing, and saying, I'm now going to use the law of change, or I'm now going to use the law of elimination, will it not be a case when we are familiar with all these things that it will just be a natural part of our being and carrying on? And Ashira says that is exactly correct. It becomes second nature. So the more we understand the laws, it actually does become second nature. You just know naturally what to invoke when you're in certain situations. We do not want to say subconscious, but if you were to think of a layer between conscious and subconscious, where it just becomes rote, automatic, then that is it. Many of you have witnessed your mother baking a cake, and she does it within 5 minutes because she knows all the ingredients. She doesn't think about it. She just throws it all together and pops it in the oven. That is what we're talking about. And Susie says, right, exactly. And it also occurs to me that as you're saying that your emissaries are on the planet, it's easier for them to be here because you experience a group mind. I feel like that's also available to me at this time. I'm feeling connected and as though I'm immune from harm of any kind. And I'm just really not worried about anything at this point. And Ashira says, you have connected to the group mind. This is not an exclusive club. So we invite all of you, because the more we are connected, you see, we are also connecting to what you think of as the group mind, the collective group mind. Now, there is still some fragmentation in that, but we are connecting because you collectively have given us permission. And that is also part of having our emissaries on the ground, because they now are really actively part of that group mind. But yes, we also invite you, we are giving you a gold and engraved invitation to join our group mind. Because what you do, and as these two begin to, like two clouds merging, as they merge, the telepathy is instantaneous. And that is what you are seeing as well. And Susie says, yes, I've even in meditation welcomed the orbs that I sense around me to come into my field and join with me. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it feels good and it feels like the thing to do. And then she says, if I may ask a question about higher dimensions, when we're able to finally leave the old third behind, I'm wondering about parasites and bugs and things like that. My daughter just showed up with a bullseye rash, and I'm thinking that it's Lyme disease and an infection. Of course, I don't want that, but I'm just wondering about parasites and things like that. Ashira says, the evolution of what you have come to experience on Gaia as a friction and dis-ease between kingdoms will come to cease, and let us tell you why. The role of such things as parasites have become a very powerful tool to reflect in the physical reality back to humans that they are out of balance with their environment. So they have in fact performed a diligent service. Now painful, yes. Necessary, not anymore. So it's just like taking any situation and asking it how it's connected to the past, and then cleaning up the balance so the past is balanced. So I feel like that's what the parasites are reflecting back to us. Yeah, it's a good one to ask about. Okay. It is the belief system that there are creatures, whether it is a snake or a scorpion or a mosquito, it doesn't matter, or just an airborne parasite or bacteria that can harm you or kill you, begins the germination of that idea, is in the idea, the belief system that you don't live on a safe planet, that you are not safe. So that will disappear. Also, what is going to take place, no, we're not getting rid, and it would not be our place anyway, but you are not getting rid of any of those creatures. Now, they may choose to travel elsewhere, but they would also like to be able to live in harmony, so that they no longer have the desire or the belief system that their role, yes, insects have belief systems as well, and their belief is that part of their job is to do this. So they have put themselves in a position where they, in fact, are the enemy And that is a very difficult position to occupy. So by using the divine qualities of the ability to clear addiction to pain, or to live in peace or compassion, and then invoking the law of instantaneous transmission or transmutation, if you want to take a while longer, then what happens is the need for those insects to do harm begins to dissipate. Who wants to live in a golden age of the higher dimensional realms, or even what you referred to as the clean third dimensional realm, where it is the same as the old? So I'm going to have to remember this about the mosquitoes. Okay, so any of these insects that bother us, so we can use the divine qualities to clear addiction to pain, to live in peace and compassion, and the law of instantaneous transmission. Okay, got to remember that one. So Susie says, not me. She doesn't want to live in the same old, same old. We want the cleaned up. And Ashira says, now, or no. So you tend to think of, as we have called it, the intangibles in terms of corruption or greed or lust or control. There are physical manifestations of that war that has taken place too. Think of things like the Black Plague or Legionnaire's disease or MRSA or HIV, leukemia, cancer. These are all based on beliefs and ideation. So you are just beginning to work, as are the kingdoms, because they've already gone to the higher dimensions. So you can think of the tick that bit your beloved one as a recalcitrant. And Susie says, all right, we'll work on the tick. I don't know where it is anymore. And Ashira says, oh, do not worry about it. Simply work on releasing the disease. And that's where the universal laws and the divine qualities come in, because disease is imbalance, like Archangel Gabriel told us. So when we balance ourselves, it's impossible for there to be disease. Susie says, okay, I have an interesting question from a younger listener asking if they ought to hold off for a couple of years and engaging in a relationship with another human in anticipation of establishing sacred partnership with a galactic. And Ashira says, heck no. I tell you, you have a saying that makes a great deal of sense. I've shared a bit of the history of the intergalactic wars. My dear friend, practice makes perfect. So no, and you do not know that the supposed human being that you engage with, that you do not have a soul contract with them, that there is not a lesson to be learned that will result in expansion for both of you, and that they may be a galactic. So don't assume anything. No, never close your heart. If your heart is saying, I think I can love you, then go for it. And Susie says, all right, what kinds of things would you all like to be invited to participate in? And Ashira says, dinner, conversation, walks in the woods, sitting in the garden, sitting in the living room and chatting, meditation, deep meditation, anything that is involving interface, even a smile in the supermarket to us is huge. So if you start issuing the invitations, now you may see us very clearly, or you may simply say the house is full, you will know. And I have to say I don't see them, but I can feel when they're with me. And yes, it often feels like the house is very full. So they love to be invited. And I'll never forget the time St. Francis came and talked to us about the blessing and virtue of charity. And he said he loves being invited to lots of different things, whether you're going out for dinner, especially for a bike ride. He loves going for bike rides. So so just know you can invite them in, even to play with the cats or whatever. They love being invited to do stuff. Susie says, okay, beautiful. Are there many of you who plan on having an extended stay on Earth, or are most just wanting to go home? And Ashira says, no, most of us are planning on an extended stay on Earth. We want to participate. We have waited, as I have said, thousands of years for this unfoldment. Now, will we be back and forth to our ships because we have no intention of not maintaining them? And they are useful because many of you will wish to go exploring in the far reaches, and there's no need to develop for Earthlings to develop their own ships when ours are available. So yes, most of us want to see and have this experience of being on your beautiful planet, and we do not come until that invitation was issued. And by the way, it has been issued. And I think, Steve, if I'm correct, was that in 2012 when that was issued? Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not quite clear what he's talking about.
Okay, well,
Invitation issued.
collectively, we must have said yes to an invitation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. Okay. So Susie says, yes, okay, beautiful. Of course, I have lots more questions, but we're sort of out of time. And if you have anything to close with, I guess now's the time. And I hope you're willing to come back. And Ashira says, I would be honored to return. And he did come back a few times. Back in 2016 and 18, there's more channelings from Ashira if you want to research it on the Golden Age of Gaia. And he says, now, my beloved friends, think of the law as your dictionary, as your thesaurus, and use it. Invite us because we are inviting you to join with us. I give you the love, not only from my heart, but from all of our hearts. And Susie says, I feel it and I love you. And I'm so glad to be part of this discussion. Thank you. And Ashira says, you are welcome. Farewell. Susie says, farewell. Okay, so that's that with Ashira. So let's just pop right out of this. And
Wow.
yeah. So interesting. So much information packed into that one too. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And that they've been here 1,000 years and 250 years we've been bathed in the pink. Yeah. Yeah, so we have lots of help just knowing that that pink energy is around us. And then the more we use the universal laws, that balance within creates the balance on the planet. As within, so without. That is the law of balance. Really, and so when we start studying the laws again, I think we'll be looking at them from a more expanded perspective. Yeah. Does anyone have a question about any of that information?
Yeah, sure. I got one.
Okay.
Why would they use the law of completion before the law of elimination?
Because elimination is bringing back the energy, and this is what we're doing right now, is knowing that there really is nothing to forgive when you're in that place of compassion, non-judgment of everything. And that's what the law of elimination is. It's a really, 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 really deep forgiveness of self. And when you're in that place of forgiveness of self, you're in that place of non-judgment. So no judgment of self translates to no judgment outside of ourselves.
In addition, Kathleen, the love that exists at that level is such that no one has any resentments, or they may arise in a behavioral situation, but they're not native to you anymore.
But it seems like the process of forgiveness, we tend to forgive out there, like someone's done us harm, but really with the universe being just a series of mirrors, the situations outside of us could be reflecting what's needed deeper forgiveness within us.
That's true up until ascension, and then ascension or Sahaja Samadhi is powerful enough that it burns up our vasanas.
I get that, but I think they want us to go through the process.
Yeah, now to do as much work as possible on our vasanas.
Absolutely, because not only are we doing it for ourselves, but for the collective.
Definitely.
So the more we forgive ourselves, the bigger our field expands, so we can hold the collective in that place of compassion, that place of non-judgment of everything. So elimination is really, really deep, deep forgiveness of self. It has nothing to do with the without, because technically there is nothing without. It's just been a journey to get to that place where we've gone through the blame, the shame, the guilt, the anxiety, the you name it, those old grids to get to, oh, wow, it's just been a journey to learn what doesn't work.
So could you explain the law of completion a little bit for me, please?
Okay, so completion is connected to consistency and also continuity. So as we reach new levels, and basically within the dimensions, each dimension, there's 12 levels. So there's 12 classrooms in those, each dimension, 144 classrooms we're going in and out of. As we complete levels within those classrooms, we need our consistency to keep going. And also that knowing that there's always more. So even with Archangel Michael, who knows how old he is, he says there's always more. So the journey is pretty much never ending, and unless we want to go back home to the mother. So we complete levels with the knowing that there's going to be more. And it's that consistency that's needed to keep going, so we don't give up. No, you haven't actually completed. There is more. And so having a sense of humor can really help. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay, good. And Leanne, did you have a question?
So this recording was from 2012, right? Is that right?
2014.
Oh, 14. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So it's 8 years ago.
Okay.
But it's as relevant today as then.
Right.
Like this information, I'm really glad I'm reviewing it because I totally forgot most of it. Well, I remember listening to it. I remember pieces of it, and I'm now hearing it with new eyes and ears. And I think that's what happens. So the more we come into that balance within, the more we can understand what they were actually saying. Because back then, I had no idea what balance was. I didn't understand that I was masculine and feminine within, that I need to love my mom and dad equally, that would translate to balance within myself, you know, bringing me into that deeper, deeper, deeper forgiveness of self, that compassion. Yeah. And really being, you know how he asked us to hug ourselves at the beginning, to be in that place of gratitude for self, because this has been a really long journey. And it's taken very mighty beings to do this journey. So you're like, each of you are just amazing. Everyone that's on the planet that we get knocked down and we get back up again. And I think like we're seen as very resilient by the other side, because it has not been easy. And that this is something brand new too, that they've never done an ascension in form like this before. We're really doing the work that we would normally do if we pass to the other side, into the light. Like Steve says, all the vasanas are burned up when you pass to the other side. So
when you ascend.
Yeah, but even when you die, you're a level of awareness about forgiveness and the divine qualities and the laws is right there. So we're remembering that in physical form. So once we reach a certain level where our vibration has expanded, our frequency has increased, we understand love of self, yes, all the vasanas will disappear. But what I found through the laws is it's a process, and forgiveness of everything is a big piece of it.
And the other side of that is that there are a lot of spiritual teachers, for instance, who have stopped prior to ascension. So they've got Ramayana, 7th chakra enlightenment, but ascension is past that, right? It's past the seven chakra system, etc. And so their vasanas are still operating, right? So they do crazy, stupid things like, well, anyways, I won't go into it, but, and they call it crazy wisdom. It's not, it's their vasanas that are not totally expunged.
And I think that's why we've been taught a 13 chakra system, because there's the extra steps in there. So
Uh-huh.
each of the laws is like a step and that expands, and you can keep going back to it and learning more and more. So
Mm.
the 13 laws, the 13 blessings and virtues, the 12 dimensions, it's like a process, an incredible guidebook to ascension, to the release of all the old systems within ourselves. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, because you can have these spiritual experiences, but it's not literally, you're not, I think that mental knowing of the forgiveness, the compassion, the gratitude, and then all the divine qualities, it actually balances us within, so that there's no physical pain, there's no angst, there's no fear, there's no sorrow. It just dissolves it. Mhm. So it's a system to get there. I've often said if there were forgiveness teachers in the hospitals, there'd be way less illness. But and even not just forgiveness, compassion, and gratitude. If they were taught, if everyone was taught those 3 steps, wow, the world would be a different place. And even in kindergarten. I think it should start in kindergarten. And then the kids bring it home to the parents and teach the parents, and then it falls into the family unit. So that those belief systems that come down through the family lines are eliminated. And it's really interesting, what I'm witnessing with my daughter is that it's a repeat of what I went through, but on a whole different level. They're both so willing, she and her partner, to look at themselves. They're in all kinds of counseling, which when I was in my marriage, nope. Didn't even, that wasn't a thing. And now it's a thing. And they're looking at themselves. And what she said to me the other day was, we're learning how to fight in I can't remember the wording, but it was,
Fair,
what's that?
a fair, non-violent manner.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like they were learning Paro, the language, but she didn't use that. And I just thought, wow, look at that. That's incredible. So, I mean, Steve, you know what you felt and went through with your marriage. I know what I went through. It was horrific.
I think the worst moment in a person's life is when you're married and you're interacting, you suddenly realize the other person is not going to do any of these things, right? Not going to participate in the communication stuff, conflict resolution. No. And you're stuck, right?
Yeah. There's nothing but for the trap door to open, as SK said.
Right.
In my situation, the trap door opened and I flew out. But I'm so glad I got to experience that. I bless it. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad, because otherwise I wouldn't appreciate what's happening now. I really.
How can we learn that language?
Which, Pero?
Yeah.
Oh, just speak neutrally. Speak. Michael says, use Pero in the hearing room. I just spoke in impartial, factual terms. Didn't inject any emotion into it. But let's see, who else teaches this? The nonviolent communication people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know the fellow's name. I used to, but I can't remember it now.
Oh, okay. So it's some guy.
Yeah, just enter nonviolent communication. It'll come up.
But you can just practice it every day. Like if you feel like you're getting angry about something, step back and say to yourself, this, really recognize what you're feeling, and then put it in words, in very non-emotional words, right, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big shift moment for me was in realizing that if I hated somebody, that I was giving myself the experience of, hey, did I want that? No.
No, no.
So,
Yeah. So it's really good. I've been practicing watching the news and just sending love so that I'm not judging it at all. Because the mind will go to like, like judgment of what's going on in the world. So what I do is I practice and I'm in the stage where I'm just sending them blessings,
yeah,
just blessing each situation
yeah,
as I'm listening, as I'm watching. Mhm. So
yeah.
practicing getting to the place where I can look at a situation and just know, okay, that group is experiencing that right now.
Yeah.
Or that person, in Saskatchewan, we had 2 young men that murdered 10 people and injured 18. It's a pretty horrific situation that's occurred. So instead of me going, oh no, like I went, okay, that person is, this is what has happened. I can send love. Mhm. So it's like, it's really just recognizing it as an experience. A group is having an experience, and from chaos will come change. So now that nation, that reservation where this happened, they will now probably receive a lot of funding for a proper treatment center because that's what's needed there. Mhm.
There's another thing about sending love too, that a sort of a misconception that we may have, which is that we have to cozy up to the person or feel romantic towards them because you're talking about love, right? And that's not true. You just simply pull up love from your heart and send it out. You
Mhm.
don't have to love that person or want something to come out of it or anything of the sort.
No.
Just send love out as if it was water.
Yeah, and I think what it is too is that compassion, that's not that non-judgment, just blessing them so they can get through the other side of the situation. And hopefully something, there will be more greater balance because they've gone through this. They've witnessed this, they've experienced this. Now, how can we balance this? Our young people need help.
Yeah.
Our families need help. Mhm. And it's everywhere. Mhm.
And they need examples too.
Mhm.
Uh, the mass media, et cetera, are heavily into violence and all kind, the opposite of the divine qualities.
Mhm.
Sarah was just sharing a TV program, and wow, it was just full of evil,
Mm.
and yet that's what's being beamed across the airwaves.
Okay, so if we do witness that, even if I come across it when my travels along the internet, I think we can flow into those shows and into the internet, the divine qualities and the universal laws, just like to be very, very conscious. And the more we're doing that, like us doing this on the internet with Zoom must be incredible because it's just sending that energy out into the internet. Mhm.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going on with the universal laws and just looping around through the divine qualities. So it's helping going into the internet because it's really needed everywhere. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I thank you people, you beings, you star beings for showing up every time. It's so wonderful. Thank you for your dedication. It really, really means a lot, I'm sure, to everyone on the other side. Wow. Mm.
And thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, looking forward to the
Yeah, thank you.
universal laws.
What's that?
Looking forward to the universal laws. I'd like to really dig into them this time.
Yes, absolutely. And write some posts.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to turn the recording off now. Okay.